Hey guys, so hopping back into the book, still have a bit of a cough. Uh, one of the biggest causations of stress has to do with relationships. According to the American Institute of Stress. More than a quarter of people surveyed in 2014 felt alienated from a friend or family member because of stress, and over half had fought with someone had fought with people close to them. This makes you wonder how how much of life stress that the is causing our relationship troubles. Research suggests that stress can indeed drive couples apart, but understanding how this happens may help them heal their relationships. When you have healthy relationships, you have a support system that props you up when the going gets tough. You, you can share the stress of tough times as well as celebrate the joys of life with those around you. Another aspect of life that can build resilience against stress is spirituality. It has many definitions, but generally it comes from your connection with others, your values, and your search for meaning in life. From any spirituality involves religious worship, prayer, meditation, or a belief in a higher power. For others, it can be found in nature, in music or art. Spirituality is different for everyone. Whatever the source, spirituality relieves stress by cultivating a sense of purpose in your life. Connect, Connecting to people so that you feel less solitary, leading to greater inner peace and releasing control. Studies have found that people who can consider themselves spiritual may be better able to cope with stress. and may experience health benefits. What's your stress level? Let's take a short assessment to find out. To a test, who, who the following statements and answer yes or no to each. 1. I rarely get angry or tense because of things that are outside of my control. I rarely feel no, nervous and tense. I can cope with all the things I have to do. I rarely experience such symptoms as headache, fatigue, tense muscles, difficulty falling asleep, or bouts of anger and hostility. I feel that I'm on top of things. I have a loving, satisfying relationship with my spouse or partner. I feel my life has purpose. I am connected to a spiritual community, or I have a strong social network. I create calmness in my life through the power of prayer or meditation. I have a daily practice of gratitude. I exercise at least 3 or 4 times a week. I do not abuse alcohol or drugs. If things aren't going well, I tend to view the situation as temporary rather than permanent. If I do get stressed, I can change my thinking to calm down. Score scoring. If you answered no to 5 or more statements, you may have problems managing stress in your life. Engage in stress reducing activities such as walking out, meditation, prayer, going on long walks, and taking time away from work and obligations to relax. Recognize the source of your stress and take steps to mitigate it. No, no matter what your scores were, feel encouraged. I've seen countless miracle transformations in people over the years as they continued on their paths to getting in shape. The same will happen to you as you start healing and looking much better and healthier than you ever did before. The lifestyle changes you'll be making are sustainable and easily integrated into your current way of operating. This means that you'll be able to find time in your day for everything that is important to you and to mesh your fitness goals into that framework in a realistic, healthy, and balanced way. uh, the fourth chapter, secret weapons. Secret weapons to transform your body. I commit any activities. Resistance training has its own techniques, even its own lingo. If you're new to resistance training, the techniques and terms that get tossed around can be confusing and overwhelming. Even though I've been at this a long time, I still come across in new terms and strategies that, that make me curious and want to know more. In this chapter, I will cover terms and techniques that are not new, but what I have to say about them is new. So if you're past in new, so if you're past newbie status, don't skip this chapter. Resistance training must be done in a particular way. It's not just a matter of hoisting weights around haphazardly. To gain the benefits that only resistance training can provide, you must pay attention to the techniques you learn here. When you apply them, you create a faster metabolism, stronger muscles, better mobility, and an increase in lean muscle mass. All of this takes place when the body is properly signaled to do so. It is an adaptation process. The techniques and recommendations here are your secret weapons to make that happen. Repetitions, reps. Every time you perform one movement sequence, one movement sequence of an exercise, that movement sequence is considered a repetition or rep for short. If you squat down and then go back up, a movement sequence, for example, you've performed one rep of a squat. If you for for developing muscle and strength, the ideal number of reps is, is between 5 and 30. Any more than 30 reps and resistance training becomes more like cardio. This means you will get less of the desired muscle building and metabolism boosting benefits from your training. Very low reps have some value, however, but are best utilized by competitive lifters. But upping to failure, this common this common myth will fail you. There is a pervasive belief in the fitness world that you need to perform reps to failure to see significant progress. The apps to failure means you lift a weight or perform an exercise until you can no longer perform another good rep. You essentially go until you fail. Although lifting to failure may have some benefits for very advanced lifters when used sparingly, it should be completely avoided by the average person. Lifting to failure causes more damage than is needed to spoil your body to change. With the level of damage, your body prioritizes recovery over adaptation. Recovery is a healing process, whereas adaptation is the process by which your body becomes stronger and fitter. Training to failure is simply too much intensity for most people. It slows down progress and, in some cases, can actually put a halt to it. When doing your reps, use an appropriate level of resistance for your individual body. If you are a beginner, you don't need to go very heavy at first to initiate changes. If you feel if if you are immediate to advanced, stop your reps at the point where you feel like you can maybe squeeze out 2 or 3 more reps before you fail. This will result in faster and more consistent progress. A set, a set in resistance training is the term for the total number of consecutive repetitions reps you perform at one time. The the number of sets and reps will vary according to A, which workout plan you are following, B, which exercises which exercise you are doing, and C, how familiar you have become with that exercise. We typically do multiple sets of an exercise rather than just one. Studies show that multiple sets of an exercise usually outperform single sets of an exercise. Throughout my years of training clients, I have found that 3 sets of an exercise is right around the sweet spot for most people. This first set gives your body an idea of what the movement is like and how you should perform it. The second set provides an opportunity to fine-tune the movement and apply a little more resistance. By the third set, you are ready to perform the exercise with your very best effort. For example, following the chart on page 133, in the first phase of the total body anywhere workout, you will do 1 set of 5 to 20 reps of bodyweight squats in each workout session. In, in phase two, you will increase this to two sets of the same number of reps per set. And then in phase three sets of the same number of reps per set. Rest bid between sets. A certain amount of rest between sets is essential because resistance training emphasizes anaerobic without oxygen metabolism. Your muscles reach fatigue relatively quickly. With with resistance training, you primarily use fast burning types of energy. One of these is known as adenosine triphosphate (ATP). This energy burns hot, but it also burns out rapidly. If you don't rest long enough to allow ATP to replenish, you will begin using slower types of energy. This results in more endurance than strength, essentially turning your resistance training into a cardio workout. What's more, not resting in between sets can make your whole workouts feel idle, but it won't make them more effective. Resting in between sets is just as important as the sets themselves, so don't skip the rest period. I am super tired right now. Yeah, okay. On average, I recommend 1 minute of rest between sets, sometimes longer based on your age and workout experience. Routine. A routine is the collection of resistance training exercises you perform each time you train. In other words, the routine is your workout. For the purposes of this book, you'll work your major muscle groups at a single session or routine 2 or 3 times a week. Your workouts tell your body to adapt and change. The adaptation you're aiming for is fat loss, muscle and strength gains, and a faster metabolism. Of those three, the most important is a faster metabolism. If your metabolism is burning more calories at rest, this makes getting lean and staying lean much easier. This, especially since we live in a land of of hyperplenty, calorie dense processed foods. The routines in this book are designed to speed up your metabolism so that you can create the body and health profile you want. That overload. Overload is the amount of resistance or weight you use on sets. It is important to slightly increase overload from the previous set or from the previous routine. Your muscles can then constantly adapt and become stronger. Of course, this adaptation must be appropriate to your current strength levels. Although it is desirable to be able to add a little more weight or reps each workout so as to overload your muscles. If you aren't yet strong enough to do so, then don't do it. At first, strength gains are linear, but over time, they happen at a slower pace and lessen in consistency. Just be patient and add weight or reps when appropriate. Although muscles respond to any resistance, they visibly respond best to heavy resistance. For background, your your muscles are made up of two the general categories of muscle fibers. Type 1, slow twitch, and type 2, fast twitch. Fast twitch. Slow twitch muscle fibers do well with cardio style activity. When you are running for long periods of time, for instance, it's your slow twitch muscle fibers that are affected the most. Mm. Fast twitch, fast twitch muscle fibers, however, do well with heavy type resistance work. It's the fast twitch fibers that have the greatest capacity for growth and strength. This is why long distance runners and cardio addicts have much less muscle in comparison to sprinters. Heavy resistance or overload is individual. What is heavy for one person may be light for another. It simply needs to feel heavy for you to be effective. Okay. That's about the end that of the time that making the progress. We finally got into the fourth set after of the book. Uh, and so till then next time.